everyone, my name is Andrea and today I'll be your instructor. For today, we're going to be learning about conditions. And so conditionals is a universal concept across all programming languages. So you not only learn this in Python, but you learn it in Java and other etc. And so conditionals are decision structures that check a variable's state. So we can check if the variable is true or if it holds this value. And we use that by using if statements and also else statements, which accompany if statements. So firstly, we need to talk about Boolean. So Boolean is a data type, and a Boolean variable holds a true or false value. So to create a Boolean, we just create a variable name. So we can do is a cat and we can set it equal to true. And similar, we can do is a dog and we can set it equal to false. So it has two values, true or false. And so basically what conditionals are is there are decision structures. So they make choices. So in this example, we ask the question, are you hungry? And if we are hungry, then we're going to eat pizza. And if we're not hungry, then we're not going to eat pizza. So we can do the same for this example. Let's say we are checking if this is a cat. So to that, we use if statement and we do parentheses. And inside the parentheses, we put what we are checking. So we are checking if this variable is a cat. And if it is a cat, then we're going to print this is cat. And so we run it. It says this. And pay attention to the syntax. So in our if statement, we have if and then parentheses. And what is in the parentheses right here is called a condition. And a condition, and in our if statements, in order for the if statements to run, this condition needs to be true. And so if this condition is true, then we are going to run this. And I like to think of these indent spaces as like an arrow. So like if this is true, then do this. It's gonna print this is a cat. And so for the statement that we want to put when the condition is true, we have to use indent spaces. So in this case, there is another way to do this. So we can do if parentheses, and in these parentheses, we can actually type the variable name. And the reason why is because what's inside the parentheses is what we're checking, and this must be true. In this case, is a cat is a Boolean variable, which is set equal to true. So this is saying if true, then do this. And so we run it, it prints the statement out. So this and this is the same thing in this case. And we can only like put a variable name inside all these parentheses if the variable is a Boolean. And just to mention the difference between one equal sign is like for assigning things. So this is assigning true to the variable is a cat. Similarly, we can do x is equal to 2. So that's saying x is 2. But double equal signs is like checking or comparing if checking if this variable is true. So it's like in math where we have like for comparison, we have like x is greater or equal to 0, and we have less than or equal to, and we also have equals. So that was an example of seeing if the variable is true or false. And we can also check or compare two values. So we can check if two variables are the same. So in this example, we want to find out if two values are equal to each other. And these two values are two dogs. So we have dog named 1 is equal to Teddy, and we have a second variable, which is dog named 2 is equal to Teddy. So what do you think? What type of data type is this? Is Ted? Is it an int, a float, a string, or a Boolean? So in this case, it is a string. Now remember, strings are anything in quotation marks, and a string is basically characters strung together. So you can have words or sentences and etc. And so what this code is doing is essentially it's checking if Ted is the same as Teddy. Here is the slide explanation. If you notice in this example, we added an extra conditional. This is an else conditional. So what does that mean? To hint at what an else statement does, let's take a look at like what instances will this print out and what instances will this print out. And so when we have the dog named 1 is equal to Ted and dog named 2 is equal to Ted, then it will print out it's a match. But when we have dog named 1 is equal to Ted and dog named 2 is equal to Teddy, it will print out different names. And so what else statements are is it's a way of saying if it's not this, then else do this. So this is saying, for in the if example is saying if like Ted is equal to Ted, then print it's a match. And else statement is saying, okay, if this condition is not true, then we're going to do this. So that's else statements. And you also have else if statements, which is saying like if it's not A, but it is B, then do this. So it's like saying you have a statement A, statement B, and statement C. And if it's not A, then go to statement B. And if it's statement B, then run it. So this is else if. But then if it's not statement B either, then it's else, which is statement C. And so if, else if, and else, they go together. It's like a chunk. And so basically only one statement that is true will be run. But you can also have multiple if statements. You can have as many if statements as you want. And so for if statements, all the statements that are true will get run. So let's go over an example. Okay, so let's say we have some money and we want to buy candy. So we can create like a money variable. We set it equal to 4.35. And let's say our candy is $2. So we want to check if we have enough money. So we can do that by saying money is greater than or equal to $2. So this is saying we need at least $2 in our wallet to buy candy. So if this is true, if we do have enough money, then we can print you just bought. And here we're going to put our favorite type of candy. So what is your favorite type of candy? My favorite candy is Skittles. So I'm going to say you bought a pack of Skittles. And so if we run it, it does say you just bought a pack of Skittles. And let's say I ate my Skittles and I want more candy. So we can also have another if statement. We say if money is equal to 1.0, that's how much the Kit Kat costs. I want to buy Kit Kats. So you can say you just bought a Kit Kat. And so if you run it, both of these statements get run. So if statements, you can have as many if statements as you want. And in if statements, all statements that are true will get run. So keep that in mind. So in if statements execute the number of times the condition, which is the stuff inside the parentheses, is true. So let's advance this further. So let's try to combine both of these conditions. So let's say you can only buy one type of candy. You can either buy Skittles or you can buy a Kit Kat. We only have $1.35. So we want to keep the option of you can either buy Skittles or Kit Kat. So we can do if money is greater than or equal to 1.0, print. And you can only buy one, right? So it's either Skittles or a Kit Kat. And if you don't have enough money, then I'm sorry, but you don't have enough money to buy candy. So in this case, we have three decisions. We can buy Skittles, we can buy Kit Kat, or we sadly can't buy anything. So since money is equal to 1.35, what do you think this code will run? Let's see. It says I bought a Kit Kat, and this statement is from before, so I'm just gonna delete it. So yeah, it says we bought a Kit Kat because we only have $1.35, and that's not enough to buy Skittles, but it's enough to buy Kit Kat, and it's more than enough to just buy nothing. So just to reiterate, you can have as many if statements as you want, and all these statements that are true get run. But for if, else if, and else statements, they travel in like a chunk or group together, and only one statement that is true will get run. So basically what this computer is doing is checking the first condition if money is greater than or equal to $2. And if this is true, then everything else will get ignored because reading matter condition, this is true. So everything else is ignored. And if it's not true, then we'll go on to this statement. And we check, is this true? And if it is true, then this entire thing is ignored. But if this is not true and neither is this true, then we will default to an else state. So you may ask, when will we use if statements and when should we use like if else if and else statements, or if and else. So let's take a look at an example. And so in this example, we are going to write a number, which is x, from 1 to 5. And so x can either be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And our program is checking if the number we picked is number 1. So we can do this with a bunch of if statements. So we can say, we can do check if x is equal to 1, and then it says number 1. And we could check if x is equal to number 2, then we'll say it's not number 1. Maybe check if x is equal to 3, and we'll say it's not number 1. And if x is equal to 4, then it's not 1, on. That's using a bunch of if statements, and whichever one is true will get run, and multiple of these can run. Or we can use if and else, and the code is much shorter because in this example we're only checking if x is 1. So we really only need 2 statements. We can say if x is equal to 1, then say it's the number is 1. But if it's 2, 3, 4, 5, we can just say, oh, like whatever number, we can just say, oh, it's not 1, so therefore it's not 1. So like in this case, less is more. In this example, given with what you learned, what do you think this will print? So we have dog name 1 is equal to 10, and dog name 2 is equal to Teddy, and we have this code right here. And just for a heads up, so this thing right here, this stands for not equals. So an exclamation mark means not. So this is not equals. And for this statement right here, as you learned in our last lesson, strings have index values. And so this string Ted, it has 3 characters or 3 letters, but Python counts it starting from 0. So T is 0, and E is 1, and D is 2. So when we have a variable name and then these square brackets, and we have a number inside, that is getting the index of the string. So this is getting the T from dog name 1, and this is getting the T from dog name 2. The result of this will print out not a match, because dog name 1 is Ted and dog name 2 is Teddy. And so what the computer is doing is checking, okay, is Ted equal to Teddy? No, it's not, so we'll move on. It's checking if Ted is not equal to Teddy, and this is true. And so you may think, okay, well, if we look at this else if statement, this is also true. So why doesn't this get run? Well, in if, else if, and else statements, they go together, right? And only one of the statement needs to be true. So since this statement is already true, then this won't get run. So even though it's true, it's just ignored. That is it. We can actually compare one or more conditions. We have a variable A is equal to 4, B is equal to 3. And let's check if we want to say if A is equal to 4 and A is greater than 0. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. We want to check if A is greater than B. So we do that if A is greater than B. And we also want to check if A is a positive number. So we can use this and symbol or just the word and. And what and does is both of these need to be true. So we can say A is, or let's do this another way. We can do A plus is greater than B plus, and it is a positive number. Now, before we run this, can you predict any potential errors? If not, you go ahead and run it. And it should look like this. Now we get to it, don't touch it. You want to go up at the top here, and you see this arrow, and you click on it. And you see fork, this button here. You want to click on it because right now this is a public REPL and we want to make it our own so we can make edits to it. So you want to click the arrow and click fork. And we do that, it should direct you to your own personal REPL. You can see here, this is my username now. So if you just take a look at this, and you can even run it if you want and see what it says. Basically, you have these print statements, and you have the input function, which just asks you a question, and it stores whatever the user puts into the variable. Let's just run it, and let's ask us a question. I type in Andrea. Just type this information. See, it stores what I typed in the variable so we can use it later. So yeah, and this is our first situation. Professor Snape just called on you to answer a question you don't know the answer to. What do you do? 1, 2, or 3? Pick 3. It says, Professor Snape is outraged that you defied him. He deducts 20 points from Ravenclaw. And then here are your final results. So this is the first situation, and now I want you guys to code like a second situation and even a third situation. And if you want, you can add more situations if you want. And take a look at this code, because if statement and also if and else statements. And this, what this line of code does, it's saying points minus equals 10. And so like how, well, variables temporarily store data. So right now points is equal to 0, but we can say, we can assign a value to the variable points. So you can say points is equal to points minus 10. That does is it does 0 minus 10, and it stores that value inside the variable points. That is the same for here. And this should actually be plus equals 5 because it says right here. And then here we have a challenge. And so the challenge is to print out the final results of these houses. And so because it's only you in the computer, the other houses will just be randomly generated. So we have this random.randint function, and what that does is it picks a random number from 10 to 30. Okay, so sorry guys, I just had to fix something. So the reason why this is showing up as an error, I fixed it now. So when you fork it, it should look, this part should look different. Only a tiny bit. And the reason why is because, well, first of all, what we're doing is we are trying to get the final results of all the points for each house. And over here, it programmed if your house is Gryffindor, and it set your points equal to Gryffindor, and then after that, it randomly generated other houses. And so you want to do this for your house, and you can do this for all the other houses too. So you basically do it for Ravenclaw, Slytherin, and Hufflepuff. So the reason why it's not doing this, or it's giving you an error, is because, so you can think of it as you have this toolbox, and inside this toolbox you have some tools, but not all the tools you need. And so to get something to some certain tools, you need to import it or put it in your toolbox. So to do that, we can type from, or I just type this. You don't have to type it. Basically, what we're doing is from random import rand int, and that just allows us now to utilize this tool, and this tool just generates a random integer from 10 to 30. So see, it shows our results. So that is all for this lesson. Yep, thank you for coming, and our next lesson is next Saturday. So thank you for, I hope you learned something. Yeah.